Tedd Hardesty, who will be our first speaker addressing what we call placemaking, which is all about that public realm and the importance of it, not just the aesthetic, but how it ties things together. Ted is a founding partner of the Edge Group out of Columbus, Ohio. Ted's a landscape architect and urban designer, and Ted and I have worked together for years on other initiatives. Ted's one of the active team members involved in the Tiffin initiative with me and others today on the Downtown Growth and Development Plan. Truth be known, Ted and I were once partners in a previous firm, and we've got a great story past in history.
This is a fun subject for me to talk about, as Craig said. We're at the Edge Group. We're a firm of landscape architects and planners and urban designers, and this is kind of what we do every day. We think about how to create great places at a variety of scales. So sometimes it's sort of community-wide, sometimes it's like a district, like a downtown or neighborhood. And a lot of times too, it's in the small details of a streetscape or a park. So we think about these things every day. And even though I enjoy talking about it, sometimes it's difficult too to articulate what makes a great place. And I think we probably all experienced being in a place that we really liked and maybe not being able to express why we liked it. Maybe it's a place you like to vacation, maybe it's here in downtown Tiffin, maybe it's the neighborhood you live in. But it's difficult sometimes because it's a really nuanced thing. What are all these things that make me feel good about this place? And I'll tell you that even at the Edge Group, with a group of people that are thinking about this stuff every day and doing it, it's still tough to articulate. And several years ago, as a staff, we talked a lot about this. It's kind of a strategic planning exercise. Who are we? What do we do? And how do we communicate that to others? And we spent a lot of time thinking about how do we explain placemaking in a way not only for others to understand it, but even for our own staff. Again, I mentioned we have a lot of great technical folks who spend a lot of their days, again, figuring out paving patterns and details of a park or something like that. So they're not maybe as versed in talking about it, placemaking in a larger way. And we also have new staff that comes on that we want them to be able to communicate it as well. So we came up with something that is really 5 principles of place. And we worked hard on making it easy. You may find it cute, you might even find it corny, but we hope it's memorable because it's kind of worked for us in terms of remembering kind of 5 important things that we think help really create a great place. So it's an acronym. It's 5 items, and we begin with protect. P is for protect. So what do we want to protect in a great place? We want to protect the history, we want to protect our culture, and we want to protect our environment. So one of the first things that we think about are what are the historical things that really make this place what it is. And again, you're going to see a variety of photos here. There's a lot of things from Columbus, where we're from, but from a variety of places that we like, or we think are great places. And again, you probably have a lot of your own in your heads as maybe I show some of these images. This is Annapolis, Maryland, but certainly a commitment to preserving those buildings that frame public spaces is important. It's not just commercial buildings, they can be residential structures. They have such an influence, they tell so many stories about the people that have been here before us and create a very unique sense of place. Not just architecture, it can be a community green space, an old park, it can be gateways or thresholds, it can be monuments within that place. And we want to protect culture too. So this is from the Short North in Columbus, and it's, if you know anything about the Short North, it's an arts district, lots of art galleries, and they celebrate that and they protect that. And hearing some of the comments tonight about Tiffin, about the education, about the arts, there are things certainly to protect and celebrate here culturally as well. Principle number 2, which is link for our second element. So we want to link everything in a great place. And we do that through the public realm, through a well-organized creation of public streets, public open spaces that link us from destination to destination. just having enough room is not always enough. This is a picture from High Street in downtown Columbus, and a project we're working on right now, which is updating streetscape standards throughout downtown Columbus. There's a lot of great streets downtown, but there's some that need a bit of help. And again, you can get a lot of people on this street, but the light fixtures are outdated. There's little to no tree canopy. This faces west, so it's awfully hot and uncomfortable. So we're looking at opportunities to change that environment, to create a quality pedestrian environment to link you from place to place in this environment. Open spaces, again, a critical part of that public realm system. And incidentally, this is an image of a new place, not an old place. This is the Greentown Center in Dayton, Ohio. If you're familiar with the term lifestyle center, there's been a lot of developers doing this kind of product, and what are they doing? They're recreating great places like downtown Tiffin. Easton Town Center was the same developer that we worked with on this project. And as we were starting to mention, again, it's not just the pedestrian, the person on foot, but what are the other opportunities to and facilities for multiple modes of transportation. And clearly there's a lot of great new things happening regarding this subject. I think Brad's going to talk a lot about this in his piece. And then there's other places that maybe we don't think of, we certainly don't think of them enough, but alleys or connections in between buildings. We've talked here about some of the parking areas, and it's a little circuitous or difficult to figure out where, if I park here, how do I get back out to Washington? And so there are ways to treat these that are not only make them a great place to walk through, but maybe a great place to be and a safe place to be. Also, as part of that downtown Columbus project, we have a very similar situation. It's an alley, but it happens to be an alley that provides a direct link from High Street kind of down the slope directly to the side of the river. And there's a lot of new development happening here, several hundred new units of housing. Fortunately, access to the parking garage you see in this slide comes off of the cross street, and this street that you're looking down really doesn't serve a super important use in terms of vehicular traffic. So we're looking at the opportunity to turn that into one of these. Again, not only a safe connection, but actually a cool, interesting urban space. I wanted to put this in from Columbus too. This is the side of the mile that has been improved along the side of the river in downtown Columbus. And again, it's a different scale, but there's a lot of similarities in terms of the relationship that you have with your river. It's elevated. I think of Frost Parkway and how nice that feels in terms of being able to walk along that river and have a view back to town. We think there's some of the same opportunities maybe on the east side of the river as well. So, and then these bridges, which you've got a couple of great bridges, again, don't have to be an obstacle or something that, oh, I gotta cross the bridge, I gotta cross the river. They can be an icon. They can be a centerpiece within a room that surrounds the Sandusky River. And I like this image just because it felt a little more in scale with maybe what you guys have along the river. And especially things that can be done with lighting. The lighting technology that is happening so quickly in terms of LED technology not only allows you to do a variety of different effects, but it also is super energy efficient as well. Okay, A is for access. So what do I mean by access? I think you got to think about if you're living in a great place, what do I need access to? Probably first on a lot of people's list is food. Gotta eat. We need restaurants and places to sit down, but also for the person living there, how about getting a loaf of bread, getting a gallon of milk? I think it's an opportunity, maybe a challenge with any place that's trying to add more downtown housing. Is you got to have a lot of people. The city of Columbus, with a ton of new people living downtown, can't justify a grocery store downtown, for example. So you got to look for opportunities to kind of bridge that gap. Again, maybe every week you got to get out to the grocery store to do some heavy duty shopping, but through farmers markets and certain types of retail stores, you can provide those kind of services that are important to people. And access to education. If ultimately in your place, wherever that place is, you want to attract families and you want to have children, the ability to be able to get to school easily is an important piece. Maybe not quite as challenging here in Tiffin, but boy, it's a big issue in a lot of larger cities. And boy, just the connectivity to the high schools and the universities here in Tiffin is really terrific, and it's really creates a great infrastructure to start from. And then again, a number of other services that you would think of would be nice to have in an urban environment. Having access to some healthcare services, the dentist, getting your hair cut, those sorts of things are really important to creating a great place. C is for concentrate. So this really speaks to density, and sometimes density comes across as a bad word to people, but the fact that people can live above retail or work above retail, it just naturally creates synergy. It creates energy on the street. And there's a real practical aspect to it too, that when the city is attempting to service development, it's a more compact thing. You have less utility lines, you have less of everything to maintain over time. So concentration of uses is a really critical part of great placemaking. Sometimes some of the challenges are how to retrofit some of those spaces. The previous slide was of a new project of Loss in Davenport, Iowa. Here's a new infill in Grandview Heights, Ohio, just outside of Columbus. Again, a historic context, but a new project not done from a style standpoint to match what's there historically, but it's to complement it historically. The rhythm of the architecture is consistent with rhythms you may see in storefronts, but it wasn't trying to copy some of the architecture that may be 100 years old or more. Also, concentration of housing types is really important to great placemaking too. I think we spend a lot of time thinking about how to fill those upper floors of some of these older buildings, but a lot of people, as they're thinking about changing their lifestyle a bit, may not be ready to move from a suburban house with a yard to that upper story. Maybe there's a step in between. Maybe they're townhomes. Maybe they're things that are a few blocks from the core of downtown, but it's another housing opportunity that allows more people to live within the district of downtown. We also want to concentrate our civic uses too, and things like the library, things like the government uses. Those are great things that Tiffin has already in their downtown that we think are a critical part of creating a great place and creating those kinds of destinations in the downtown. E is for energize, and we think this is an awfully important one. And we as design people love to design energy into places. So if there are opportunities to do things with water, we love to do those things. Water is such a magnet for people and for kids. This is also at the Green Town Center in Dayton. Providing these kind of elements and opportunities and amenities, again, it creates energy on its own. I love this one too. This is not in downtown. It's very close to downtown Columbus. It's in a nature preserve just south of town, but I've been told it's the largest man-made climbing wall in North America. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it certainly attracts a lot of people, and it's a fun thing. So those are design elements to energize a place. But as Amy was just so excited to hearing you talking about the events and programs that Tiffin has started, because programs, those are the things that really create ongoing energy. This is the gallery hop once a month in the short north. There's First Fridays and Third Thursdays, and a lot of communities do these kinds of events, and they're really great opportunities to create a place socially, economically for the businesses, and a really important part of a great place. I also wanted to talk a little bit about, this is a project that we did in downtown Columbus. Again, it's a scale issue. This is actually a 6-acre community park called Columbus Commons in downtown Columbus. But again, I think it's very scalable in terms of what it's done. It replaced an obsolete mall in downtown, and it has been the catalyst for literally hundreds of units of residential above retail around its edges. But getting back to the energy, the programmatic piece of this, we can design a lot of things, but it's hard to replace that programmatic element. And the organization that really runs this, in their opening year, they had 240 events in a 365-day calendar. So they really stay after it. A variety of scales of events, a lot of children's programs are on this lawn. The design was rather simple and designed to be flexible to allow for a lot of events, seasonal opportunities, adult kickball, which is a really big deal in Columbus, outdoor yoga classes. They've had, lots of events, Race for the Cure, half marathons, and Pelotonia bike race starts at the Commons, and just a great program of events and concerts in the park. So that was real quick, and again, I hope it's not overly simple. I think what we value about it is it's almost a checklist for us. So regardless of what size of project or what kind of issue we're thinking about in terms of a place, we're kind of able to do that checklist in our head really quick. Have we protected the important things to this place or this community? Have we linked it to the best of our ability, given the circumstances at hand? Do we have access to the things that someone needs if they're going to live here or work here? Have we concentrated uses enough? I think we always need to challenge ourselves to concentrate more as opposed to less. And then finally, what have we done from design and programming to energize the space? So hopefully you find that helpful to you as you think about your neighborhood and you think about downtown.